How's it going, everybody? Fix one thing. There we go. Build this thing. This one is a custom order. The goal was to make it all white, or at least as white as possible. Very limited budget. With today's budget anyway around computers. So, got quite a few parts here. It's all going to be built into the Lian Li Dynamic 011 case. Quite a large build. Got a few more fans sitting aside here as well. But we've got, for the most part, white covered. With some white fans, white addressable RGB cooler, white RAM, all white. Actually, check one thing. Hold on. Cable's supposed to be there. How's everybody doing on the Saturday afternoon? I'm going to run through the parts list real quick, and then we're going to get started with the we've got the Ryzen 5. This is actually a 1600 AF, so nothing super fancy, but I mean it's going to be a great processor for budgets working with, providing 6 cores, 12 threads, and a max boost of 3.6 gigahertz on an AM4 socket. Got our B450 Steel Legend. Great motherboard to work with, has a lot of options. This is the micro ATX version, but the main reason why I picked this board is because there's a lot of white accent, or at least silver accent on it, that will kind of mesh well with the build itself, because it was very important that the aesthetics were white. That was the requirement. Got the 450, the Ryzen 5 1600. And we've got 3200 megahertz DDR4, 16 gigabytes total, 2 8 gig sticks, PL16. These are by Team Force, which of course Delta version. Got addressable RGB lighting on the top of them. And then a 1 terabyte NVMe 1.3 .2 SSD. This is the app that you need for speed loading things up. And then to go with that, we've got a white Be-True cooler. That's the Lurker E360. Got a 300 for AIO radiator. It's an all-in-one and factory sealed. Makes it easy to work with, easy to maintain in the future. Got addressable RGB lighting, so nice cooler to work with. We're on a budget. I've got some some cables here that we're going to be using. These are cable extensions with the white and black. That's going to help with the white accent. And then also power the entire rig. We've got a 750 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. This is semi-modular, not a fully power supply, but will be used today. Power the entire rig. Then we've got a total of 6 additional addressable RGB fans that we're going to be working with. And this is going to help, and they're all white. This is going to help keep that white accent that we're looking for. But we've got 3 here stacked up, as well as an addressable 5-pin RGB splitter cable that is white. If you can see that with the light reflecting off the bag there, but it is white cabling to again help with the white accent that we're aiming for. And again, because of the budget, we've got the GeForce GTX 6 Super. This is the MSI version. We might take the back plate off and actually wrap that with white wrap, or to get it as white as possible. That is really the goal. So we might be doing that. I'm not at it until we get, after we get it in there and look at it. And then additionally, we've got some fan hubs for the fans itself. PWM fan hubs. These are by Deepcool. Has 4 PWM connections on it. That plugs into 1 fan header, so that will power 4 fans and actually help us control the fans that we want to control. So 1 for the side and 1 for the bottom fans that we can control. Makes it a lot easier to manage. We needed Wi-Fi on this build. Unfortunately, the B450 motherboards that have Wi-Fi either doesn't make sense to buy, or just ridiculously expensive. Especially when I was aiming for a white accent. So I ended up getting a Wi-Fi 6 card here by Qt, AX 200 card. No, it says AX 3000. It's actually AX 200 Intel chipset, and it's going to give you that Wi-Fi 6 speed that you want, as well as Bluetooth 5.0. So great card to work with for the budget. I've also got some addressable RGB strips that we're going to be placing on the, this isn't the strips. Addressable RGB strips that we'll be placing on the front and the side and the rear. So the front right up against the fans, and the front, or the rear right up against the case. That really kind of helps pop the RGB lighting. So this is by Easy, actually at DIY Fab. These guys are actually pretty cool. I like some of their products. I'm using them, and I actually just found the white cabling that I did order. It was just in a weird box that I don't normally work with, but again, it was with the budget. So we've actually got white cabling, not white and black, that we're working with today. So perfect. And then we've got additional white RGB that we're going to be working with in this box here, as well as the request was to add this little guy to the build itself. So I've got some actually Velcro that I'm going to use to place this guy. I don't want him falling off, having the owner have to go in there and then stand him back up, because once seal it up, we don't really want them in there unless they know what they're doing. So we'll be Velcroing him more, making it easy to place or replace them if they want to put new ones in there. But anyway, that is the build out that we are working with today. So I'm going to move some of this stuff out of my way, and then we're going to get started. And also get marking. So I got my tools that I'm going to be using today. A couple different Phillips screwdrivers is what I'll be using, as well as some wire snips and a little flathead. Instead of using a knife, I like to use a flathead to cut some of the tape on the packaging, so I don't scratch something. Okay, just had to verify that nobody was here. Awesome. Alright, so Wallace 602, thank you for following us on the Twitch channel. Appreciate that. So we're just going to go ahead and start with the motherboard. Max, stop. All right. So I'm gonna go kick him in the head. I don't know what he's barking at. He'll bark all day. Barking. All right. So with most of ASRock's Steel Legend motherboards, find that they place a nice foam piece around the motherboard for protection, which is super nice, and they also zip tie this motherboard. So I'm going to go ahead and flip all of these zip ties, or cable ties, call it. Take that out. There we have it, our motherboard. And then we're going to start with getting the CPU installed, the RAM, and SSD. Pop open the CPU. We're actually not going to be using this cooler. That for later. And CPU, we're going to pop this plastic open. Very important here that we do not bend the pins, and we'll get it ready. Put that right out of the plastic, right into this, so it is secure. Nothing is going to happen to those pins. I'm just going to grab it on the edges here. What we're looking for is a gold triangle. Not sure if you see it right here in the corner, where my index finger is pointing. But there is a gold triangle there that we're going to match up top left corner of the motherboard socket, which is on there. Also triangle there as well, and we'll drop it in. Just up, kind of just drop it in. Literally drop into place. We'll flip the hammer down. We'll feel that the CPU is very secure there. That's locked into place. Next step is RAM or the SSD. I'm just going to go ahead and get the SSD done. And this is 1 terabyte. I'm down to 2. And PCIe Gen 3. This one's by Silicon Power. This is the A60. So about 2,000 megabits per second. Healthy. Doing video editing, any type of like 4K, any type of high data. I want probably a faster drive to get even more performance. I would actually now recommend Gen 4 for video editing station or photo editing. Those editing, you'll want Gen 4. It's going to make a world of difference and have you up to speed with everything in the future as well. There we go. We got our M.2 drive installed just by sliding it into the slot. Installing, don't have your stud on the right size for the size of the drive, which this one is a at 80. Then want to move that. You just determine that by the size of the drive itself. You'll see stud, or if your stud comes in a bag, just pull it out of the bag, put it in the motherboard. Little M.2 drive screw that comes with the motherboard, which usually is in a bag like this, and fit here bag. Very small, very tiny. I have an extra one because there's another M.2 slot here, which will be included with the build, so that when they go ahead and add another drive in the future, or if they want to, they'll have all the screws that they need. Alright, so now we're going to do the RAM. Again, these are two 8GB sticks, 16GB, DDR4, 3200 megahertz. This is Team Group. This is the T-Force Delta RGB. White. It's a white set. So, with most boards, it's going to be this outer slot and this middle slot between the last three here. And then all you have to do is line up middle gap, see here, right here, with the gap or the spacing, spacer, whatever you want to call it. There's a gap here on the motherboard. Nothing to show you. Here, gap, and you'll just want to line those up. All your RAM. Really no other wrong way to put it. Definitely don't do what I just did. Try to slide it in like that. I'm not doing it so I could show you, but you want to install it vertically. And then down into the slot. Once you verify it's lined up, push down on one side and the other at the same time. Click in. You also have these little plastic tab hammers here. Called exactly. Plastic tabs is what you want to pop out before you place it in. Some motherboards may not have them on both sides, so this one does not. Quick tip for the T-Force Delta: usually the T-Force on the RGB is always at the top of the motherboard. Here, T-Force at the top. Hey John, thanks for the like. There we are. We have the CPU, 1 terabyte SSD, and the 16 gigs, 2 8 gig, total of 6 GB sticks of RAM installed in the motherboard. That is ready to go. The last piece that I want to do actually before we on is verify the mounting bracket for this cooler. I don't really want to deal with I'm going to move this motherboard out of the way real quick. I just want to verify. I've worked with these coolers a few times. I've mostly worked with these coolers AMD, so I just don't remember the mounting on this cooler. So I just want to double check the instructions. just in case there's a plate or something that we have to put on there, and I'd rather do that now instead of in the case, because it just makes it a lot easier. So this one is actually going to use brackets that are on the motherboard currently. So we're not even going to pull these off. We don't have to put a plate on the back, which is extremely important to verify before you put it in the case. And it's going to use, so we're going to leave these on, and it's going to make it much easier now that we've verified that, put this in the case and not have to deal with trying to take this back plate off later. So we know this is good to go. So, with that being said, let's move on to popping the case open, getting that up here, and placing the motherboard inside the case. So again, we're going with the white Leon Lee 011 Dynamic. Lots of room to grow in this case. No pun intended. And here we have it. The white Leon Lee case. Turn that light off so it's not reflecting on the glass here for just a moment. But it's white. You got a lot of white accent, black accent around the side. It's gonna really pop once we get all the parts in here. As well as a silver / white look to the front here. I wish they would have just gone white here. No. Not peeling that off. Sorry. Alright. And for the 011 Dynamic, all you gotta do is remove the 2 back screws here on the top panel. The top panel slides off by pulling it back away to the back of the computer, and then it comes right off. And from there, tempered glass panel pops off the top. All the panels, back, side, front, all just off. And I'm actually just placing it back into the box. Secure. And so no dust or anything gets on them. I'm going to pop this dust filter off the top here. There's also a bottom dust filter I'm going to pop off. Yeah, very clean. Alright, and so on the back side, got the hard drive bay, which we open this up, you'll see a box of cut that, and it just slides right out. Normally I could just play, but I have it. That is that. This drive bay back on there because we're not going to be putting a hard drive in there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take out these two SSD trays because we're going to be putting fans down here. So we're not going to be, we don't have a 2.5 SSD for the build. And if we do, we'd have to probably fit it in the hard drive bay. Oops. That slipped. There's one.
I can put these.
Two. There we go. We got those all cleared out of the way, so now we're ready to put fans in there when we do that. So, next step is to now get the motherboard installed in here. Thank you. Next step is to get the motherboard installed. And in order to do that, we're going to have to add some studs. So it's a good time for you to verify which studs go where. So just open up your box that came out of the case, and we're going to pull a bag of screws out and get the screws for the motherboard install and the studs that we need. Might have to steal some studs from down below. So with this one, I already know it's going to be this here that we need to add, and this one here that we need to add because micro ATX board. I've worked with it several times. I already know exactly what we need to add. I'm just going to add the two studs here. Verify that there's no other studs that are going to be in the way, touching the board underneath. Alright, now that those studs are all in, we already know. I've already looked, I can see there's no other studs here that are going to be touching the board underneath, causing any ground issues or shorts or anything like that. So we're clear to put the board in, but we do want to also put our IO plate or our IO shield into the case here. From the inside, we're just going to match this with the orientation of your motherboard. So that's the easiest way to determine which way it goes in. So if you place your motherboard in like this, you can see that this is the right way to put it in. That's how you determine the way it's going to go in the case, or an easy way at least. After you've been building for a while, you'll know top from the bottom of these IO shields very easily. There we go. The other thing I would recommend, like this motherboard's a kind of a premium motherboard, so it's really not a big problem. But some IO shields will have these little metal tabs that are supposed to go above certain ports, like HDMI or USB, or certain ports, or even Ethernet. Sometimes they're bent in, just because the packaging got bent. And then when you place the motherboard in, those little tabs go inside the ports, and then you're not able to plug things after you're done building. That's when you find out it's actually a problem. For example, the little tab might be inside the Ethernet port and can't actually plug an Ethernet cable in to get internet. And the crappy part about that is you have to literally take the entire build apart to move the motherboard out, fix the tab, and then put the motherboard back in. So I highly recommend taking a second here, verifying these tabs are out of the way, or where they're going to go, where they're supposed to go. And also, after you place the motherboard in, look on the back and verify all the ports are open and free, and they don't have that metal tab sitting inside one of the ports. Very annoying thing after you've completed a build, find out you have to take it apart. So spend the extra few seconds, just verify that. Alright, so we've just set the board in, we kind of lined it up here, and the holes, if you were closer, studs are all lined up. Verify that you can see studs at each of the holes. Know for sure that you've got them all lined up, especially if you counted them, which we know here that we have them all lined up. Good to go. The next is picking the right screw or screwing your motherboard in. It's going to be a little flat looking screw for the 11 dynamic. Got a little lip to it. Not sure if you can see that or not. Right, blurry is. But it's got a little lip to it. It's kind of a fine thread. But these are the screws that we'll use to mount the motherboard. I'm going to start with one bottom corner and try to see how I take this hand over here and place it on the motherboard and push it towards the back. If you don't have a stud that's holding the board in place, you'll want to apply pressure and look at the studs while you're doing it, just to verify that it's lined up. Because you might get to the last screw and find out, oh crap, it's not lined up. Might be a good idea also to leave the first couple of screws kind of loose, not fully tight. Just back and maneuver the board without damaging. But then I'm going to do the top, or screw at the top here, and I've got it pretty well lined up now. So I'm going to just double check the back, make sure there's no tabs here. I have 2 screws in the motherboard. It's not going to go anywhere, I know that, from the top and the bottom. Pretty well level. Going to bed? Oh. Big smile. Yes, Adrian. But anyway, take a second to look at the back. Make sure no tabs are sticking in the boards, which we can see pretty well that it's clean. No ports sitting, or no metal tabs sitting in the ports. So we're good to go. We're solid. We're golden. Let's go. I'm just going to finish screwing in the motherboard here. Then we get to move on to fans, or actually, you know what? Yeah, we can move on to fans. Get those out of the way, the fans and the radiator. It's actually not that big of a job. This case seems like it's a big deal, like super hard to work with, or like a big job. It's actually really not. It's really a pleasure to work in. Every time. It's just everything with Leon Lee just works. Why I absolutely love Leon Lee. Because everything just works. Go. My first screw is tight. So we're good to go. Now, when you're screwing these in, also, just a side note, don't like go ham on them. Make it tight, so it's not gonna like vibrate out or fall out, but just enough where it's snug. You know, you don't have to like make it super tight, so it's not a wheel on an axle spinning at 3,000 plus rotations per second. It's not going to go anywhere as long as it's snug. But just don't make it too loose either, because they will fall out. They will eventually vibrate out and fall out. So just keep that in mind. Less vibration with no hard drive, but still, there's still vibration with the so there we are. We've got motherboard mounted. I'm going to go ahead and start with the fans. I think what we're going to do is start with the bottom ones. Let's do the bottom. Already got 3 fans unplugged here, or unboxed here. They are unplugged. Go figure. Yep. Thanks, Adrian. The other thing I didn't do is remove the twist ties off the wires, which I'm going to do It will make it easier. Very new. It'll make it easier here while we're installing the fans to route the wires through the holes without having to deal with twist ties later. Lovely. Alright, and then the orientation that we're going to be placing these fans is face down, so the bottom of the case is going to look like this, the logo facing up because the airflow is going up. So we want to draw air from the bottom of the case, pushing air up to the top through the radiator here that we're going to be placing at the top of the case. And that is the direction of airflow. Airflow is coming from the bottom and the side in. That's our intake. Our exhaust is going to be at the top as hot air rises. Makes sense. Don't have on hand screws. So I'm going to need some screws. Double checking. So you've built 500 computers last 5 months. Still wanted to double check. Last thing I want to do is more time fix from a mistake. I've got this fan correct. Screws in. I'm going to do all 4. These are fan screws. I'll show you the last one I'm using here. They're very big threads. I don't know if you can see that or not. They're large threads. Very, very large flat top to them. Phillips. And they bite into the plastic of the fan, so kind of looks like a really short wood screw, but it's for the fan. All right, so we got one fan installed. Put this up so you can see a little bit. The difference between building a computer and building a computer live on a stream in the video is always making sure that you, one, have it in the shot so that people know what the hell you're doing, and it just adds a whole bunch of extra work. You're constantly looking at the chat, reading while you're doing stuff, so it definitely increases the time that it takes to build. We're also multi-streaming, means we're streaming to multiple platforms, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all at the same time, so there's going to be messages that some of you can see and then others just simply because you're not on that platform watching from that platform. So if I answer questions and you don't see it in the chat, it's because it's from another platform. Again, just gonna double check the orientation, make sure that the wires are facing route that the wires need to go, so we don't have cables running all over the place inside the case, going directly to the hole that we want it to go to the back of the case. Gonna be nice, clean wire cable management. And 4 screws.
Very white build.
Yes, it's very white. That's and last screw. Perfect. And the last fan for the bottom, which we have 3 on the bottom, do the twist ties from these wires. This one doesn't have an exactly direct route to for the cables, but we've got a pretty path, as we've built in the several times, to run it, make it look. These are also nice because they have white cables, they have black cables. A lot of white fans will have black cables, but these have white, which make it static theme that we're going with. So, last fan going. Again, going to double check the orange. Correct for the flow. Prior to the first screw. Hit the last three. Perfect. Alright, and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the cable management here. Wires are just running down directly into the slot. These ones don't have really a direct path, so we're just going to route these down here. Take an L turn slot here. That's where our addressable RGB is going to be down there. Also our fan hub for all three. We kind of want them in the same spot down there on the back side. Important to kind of keep that at least as close as possible. Other cables, we might even throw a zip tie here. White zip ties, let's see, don't have. But we're gonna probably throw a zip tie here. Excuse me. Oops. My head will sometimes bump the camera. FYI. Break this. Bumping my. There we go. We got a zip tie in on these cables. We got that nice and clean. You don't even see the fan cable here running out down that hole. Nice and clean. Which is what we want. Alright, so the next step, we're going to actually place 3 fans here, which are also going to be intake. So we're going to kind of flip these down so that you can see it. This one you'll be able to see a little better while we're doing the while we're screwing them. So this one's actually still packaged. Unpackage it. These are again Vitro fans, so they're all Vitro fans, which match the entire build very nicely. Removing the zip ties here from the fans itself. Make it easier as we go through and install them. And I just my glove. I need some better gloves. I want white. They're really hard to find. They're nice. Nice white. Got some nice black ones that I could use. But I think it's hard to see black on the camera holding stuff. These ones just rip. I don't get why. Not doing anything super strenuous on them. Actually, just off for now. And I get in the way. Alright, so again, orientation is important of the fan. We want the airflow to come this way through the side and into the case. So our airflow or the position of our fans is important. Again here, actually everywhere. But want the cables to run this way. We want the airflow to go that way. So when we place this in here, want it to look like this. Flow is going to go that way. Mount this bad boy. Here. Go. Then I usually like to do angled. So other corner, opposite. Know for sure it's mounted nice and square. Almost square. I just had to undo that one screw. I could get this screw in. It wasn't square. Go. Again. Check, make sure it's all good. We know the same. We've already thought about this, so we're good to go. Four screws. I want to do 2 screws on a fan. Good, but you don't really want to. You want if possible. Have very sensitive right here. Not perfectly level, or it's got a weird pull on it from one screw to another. May not be running the fan quite level. It's kind of important to keep that in mind. Trying to take shortcuts. You can put all 4 screws. It also helps with vibration. These fans actually have rubber pads on the corners. If there's a vibration, that rubber pad is going to absorb some of that vibration. Noise level down. So you have all 4. kind of touching with pressure will kind of absorb some of that vibration. And it's always a positive thing to put all 4 screws in. Take the time to do it. Especially on your CPU fans, because those are the ones that are going to ramp up and slow down and ramp up and slow down based on PWM. So keep that in mind. There we have it. Now we just need to route these cables to their slots here. Rubber omelets. Shove them in there. Nice white cabling on these fans as well. Others. Good aesthetics for the build. White build. All right. Trying to keep pulls jagged. There we have it. We have 6 fans installed, the motherboard, RAM, the SSD. Motherboard's mounted. 6 fans are in. So really the next step is going to be getting the radiator in here at the top and also mounted this too, as well as getting the fan adjustable RGB plugged in, the PWM hubs, and the power cables, and also our case connections, the power button, that switch, and all that stuff. So those are kind of our next steps here. I'm going to actually start with getting the motherboard plugged in. I'm going to be right back in, give me 5 minutes. I need some. Give me 5 minutes. Alright, we're back. Let's get the rest of this. The lurker. Let's get the popped opening. Got our 3 fans. Install kit for our screws and mounting. And the AIO itself. Bad boy up to the side here. We can see this. This is going to be important to determine how we want to put this in, but I already know I'm going to be putting it in like so, with the hoses coming off on this end, so it rotates up and onto the CPU like so. About the best way we can do it. Also keep the cables in the back of the case here, and not covering the RAM over here. So that's the orientation we're going to go with. We know that the cables want to be on this side of the radiator, and we also know the fans, the exhaust. So this will be the case where we're going to place the fans like so on the radiator, just like that. I'm actually just going to pull out, line them up. Excuse me. And then get our bag of screws, get our screws out. We just start screwing these in. You don't want to make them too tight. Don't want them too loose. So snug is a good word for that. There we go. Now we're just going to undo these twist ties. Again, we want to undo these as we're mounting them. When we put it in there, we're going to want to shove them in the proper holes. Sorry if you're looking at my head a lot. I'll look down. One of these days I'll have some more cameras. Trying to give you close-ups on what I'm doing, and I'll be able to switch, etc. Oh, not happening. I just made it up. Grip to twist tie and definitely. There we go. Surgical pliers. Very useful. Okay, Uncle goes. Alright, so there we go. Got all of our cables freed up, twist ties, except for on the pump. We don't really need to deal with those yet. But you can see here, it's ready to go. When we flip it over, I'm going to put it in here on like so. It's going to be perfectly how we want it. Our cables are going to be routed how we want it. Routed right now. It's also sometimes a good idea to keep the plastic on the pump slash block. It goes on this, scratch anything while you're doing. Got the cable on top of it. Do anything. But if you're new to this, got it. Plastic on there while you're doing it. Wires in, lower it. Bottled up. I'm going to rotate this so I can get to the side of it. And we have some mounting screws for the radiator itself. Just so it matches the bottom thing. Also not going to tighten completely in case I have to eyeball it here. Make sure that these back bottom fans are kind of lined up with the front fan. You want to push it back a little bit here. looks good. I like an even radius, so I'm going to put all the screws. Mostly for aesthetics, you put 2 corners, probably 3 or 4 in the middle. Aesthetics and doing it right, all the screws. Yep, that is one mounted. Now the next piece of this is going to be getting the block pump mounted to. Almost every single one is going to have some sort of peel off that is protecting the copper here. And you will want to make sure peel this off before you put thermal paste on and mount this. So I always like to start the peel so I'm actually ready to put it on there to keep it just so I don't forget that it's there. I know some experienced builders who have accidentally forgotten it was there, and oops, it will mess with your thermals. So specifically on this one, we're going to have a couple of these small screws for this mount, and kind of like the Corsair design, a bracket for 8-4, and then this little bracket which will go onto the clips here, and then a nut that is going to screw onto that bracket, tighten it. So we've got 4 of these little teeny tiny screws to mount little brackets. Important also, remember the orientation of these. We're going to go facing up. Also, we want to remember the orientation of our actual block. Like this, with the V facing the right direction. Going to slide in like that. We're going to have to drop this in at a altitude while you're trying to stream and show it. Or show and tell all of it. Work with this one. Grab the screw. I had a feeling that was going to happen. At the same time, I was hoping it would. Didn't see it. I found it. give it a wiggle. That happens to you. Try number 2. Take 2. Finally got it. Okay, we have another one to do. So we got 2 of those screws in. That's kind of like what the clip will look like, so that it's there. Next one. Same thing. I think I should invest in a smaller screwdriver. Actually, I have them. Here. Alright, so now I'm going to peel this because I'm going to be shooting that in a minute. Ready to go. Also going to apply brackets. To the brackets that we block, but they're started, ready to go. Gonna make it easy. I think I'm just trying to make this more difficult than what it is. Alright, we got that started, and next we're going to do thermal paste, mount it, and we're using thermal grizzly, what we used here. I do a nice little X pattern. Now it's not a perfect X, oops, but more than enough. Alright, so the last piece, we're just going to verify the orientation of the block before we start smashing it up with thermal paste. Good. Straight, hoses to the ram. Get these clips on the plastic clips on the M4 socket. We're just going to tighten these. Doing both screws at the same time, giving it some nice even pressure on the seat. Tighten them. The last thing we do here is screwdriver out and finish. I always keep my fingers at these tabs. They like to sometimes pop off. Don't want that to happen. Tightening it. Bracket. There we are. And the last thing I'm going to do is have hoses a little bit. That's clearing the RGB here. It just looks more fluid. Alright. Next thing is we got our pump and our RGB lights here. We're going to have to run. I'm going to do this in a way, probably not something to do. Probably the cleanest look I can get out of this case. So, I'll run the cables this way. under the motherboard hole here. A lot of people don't do that. I do it because could also run it up this way, out. I'm going to do that because white kind of blends with the case there. Doesn't look. That's over. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it the other way. Yeah. Slide. No. All right. Way. Guys. Going to popped out actually. So we're getting tucked in. There we have it, a nice run. Go back here. Nice and clean. Would be less of an issue if the radiator was thicker or we had push-pull on the radiator. Hide all the back top here. I think it sticks out like a like to hide the cable. Also like a centerpiece when you're looking at it, so it sticks out. But here we go. We're gonna clean look to it here by doing that and routing it under the board behind the studs so it doesn't move out the side here. Nice and clean. A couple of zip ties here to keep the wires together. Simple and okay, so that's that. We got this bad boy mounted. You know what I forgot? One last piece. Up here. Not that big. The black cable we're running for the fans. There we are. Let me run it through the there we go, nice and clean. Down again. And we might right here for these two cables. There we go, nice and clean. Barely even see the wires. Okay, so next up, get the PWM hubs, the RGB hubs, also the front panel stuff connected here. I want to go probably one. Alright, so there's 2 fan hubs, 6 fans, and then we got an addressable RGB splitter that we need to use. Specifically, we bought white to help hide the cables, which actually doesn't cost a lot. So, very cheap, but it adds to the aesthetics, especially when you have a micro ATX board inside a ATX case. So we run a white cable very neatly to our addressable RGB 3-pin 5-volt without it looking like complete garbage. Hard to see it once everything's running, but you'll see that it's going to be nice and clean. Actually, oh, the last trick is getting audio over there. I think I have a trick here. I think it's time to take this panel off. Back panel that holds solid state drives and covers up a bunch of the cables. Once it's all said and done. Bundle of one. A little crazy on it in here. Alright, so I think our front panel. Audio HD. Oh, actually, right to it. Perfect. See what I did here? With the HD audio, I ran it behind the board. I'm going to try to tuck in and hide the black cable that we're running to the board. Neat little trick you can do. Help hide people from running down from the bottom up to the board. For the aesthetics, probably do this RGB if it bugs me enough. I might end up doing, but I don't think that's gonna bother. White cable, white cage. Right, so the front panel. Perfect. Last thing we're probably add a tie there, but we gotta use it here. Go, got the zip ties in. Perfect. So now we could probably actually put the graphics card in, because we have all of our connections plugged in. That's not like, yeah, we can just do the card. Let's just do the card. That way we can plug all the power supply cables, send those through all the power supply, and get everything connected on the backside all at once. We also talked about doing a white wrap on the back plate of this graphics card. Not sure if I'm going to do that yet or not. Still up for debates. We've got a silver look to it. On the top we got a little white black going on it, so that's why I'm like, I don't know if I actually put wrap on this. I think it's gonna look fine with the white. Motherboard already has some darkness into it, or dark into it. It's not like super end of the world here, but would look good. Right, so I just started it. I've got it locked into place. We also have the wireless card to plug in. The Wi-Fi 6 card. Some really good speeds for downloading off the Wi-Fi. I think we're going to go top mount. That lower PCI Express slot open and the fans card clear. Hard to see. Black card. Why I didn't tighten that all the way down is because I still got a feet wire for the Bluetooth. Down under the card. So but go. Barely even. Alright, and then the trick here is going to be pretty much the same thing with audio cable. So I try to get it under the board here. And then pop it back out. USB. Go for it. Hide that cable. The other option is to plug it onto the graphics card. But I don't think that's very hidden well enough here. Sorry. Popping out. There we go. Alright, and the last piece that we're going to do here on the front are our cable extensions. These are white cables, black connections, and black cable cone. So it's going to blend very nicely here. I'm just going to get these cable cones added to the 24-pin cable. There's a couple of brands that actually have these added on there. Make this process a lot faster, but they're not as snug. additional cable cones. So you'll find that fan of that. They wanted to be able to move them. They also wanted cable on there. Kind of like a have one or the other. Situation. Oh boy, we get a bit of a daisy. When you're doing these cable cones, combs, you'll want to make sure that you're doing the top and the bottom in the right one, or it's going to look really funny. Keep an eye on it as you're doing it. Pop them in. Easy. All lined. Going into the right comb teeth. I have a quality cable comb. Go. And we're just going to do 3. We don't really need to do much more than that, because they're going to be pretty well hidden as it's tucked into that rubber grommet. So I'm not worried about doing all 4 of them that come with the pack. Not really. Not cutting corners or anything, that's just logical. Some cases maybe the run is a little longer, but this one is very short for the 24 pin. Really don't need more than, unless you really want to emphasize the fact that you have cable combs on wires. Which for this we're just trying to go white as possible, so least amount of black or other color that we better. Go. Cable combs. This through. Also make sure when you're putting your cable combs, flip in the because put it on, find out your clips the other way. Now they're all backwards. Not gonna look as pretty. Just keep that in mind. Deal. Alright, next one we're gonna do is the CPU. Or 8-pin CPU. It says 4 cable comb. We're probably only gonna do like 2 on this. Such a short run. Also, when you're buying cable extension, check the rated gauge of the wire. Don't want to buy ones. Problem where much power wire that's powered. So we got our 4-pin, nice and neat. Looking nice. And we've got two 8-pin PCI or 6-pin. You do either or with these. But these are, you only need one card. I'm actually going to mount or plug it into the card, then do it. Holds it for me. Also, direction that I want these all at once. Careful while you're working with it so you don't a pen break something. Gentle. Could probably break something there if you tried. Obviously, we don't want to do that. Gentle. Out nice and evenly, and we're going to run this all the way down to the bottom. Come on. One more on there. Do it. Possible. And after you do it, you're going to have to probably fiddle with the wires a little bit on all of these so they're not bottled up. Combs. There you go. Hold on. Let's pick up the rest of these cable combs, put it in the bag, put it in the parts box for this build. That we have all of these cable combs for the future if they add anything else to the build, as well as the additional wire. There we go, it's looking nice. Nice and pretty, clean, I'd say. Really clean. Yeah, this is sticking out. A sore thumb in this white build. So, the options are paint this, not the card, but the plate. But then you have a smell of paint, or we could wrap it, or we could leave it. Kind of looks cool with the white stripe on it, because it's a SI card. But it is sticking out compared to everything else. What do you guys think? I'm going to take a 5-minute break before we start by flipping this over and connecting everything to the back side, including the power supply. Got everything plugged in on the front side. It looks nice and clean. I'm happy with it. Outside of maybe this, which we'll decide on later. But if you want to throw a comment on there, let me know what your thoughts are. Paint that? Should we wrap that? Paint it? Got the smell of paint. We also have the value of the card for sale. Custom. May not be able to sell it for the same price that you bought it for. I mean, obviously it's going to age well, but you don't really want to modify it, so to speak. So if we wrap it, at least we can unwrap it and have it modified. But then you may have residue from maybe the wrap, or the sticker may come off, or taking a chance either way, anything you do to it. And I think it looks okay. I think it is standing out a little bit on the black, the white build, but finding a white card for the budget, possible. So I was kind of forced to do this. So let me know what you think. Too black. Too much. Is it standing out too much? Let me know in the comments and I'll come back and read them. What do you guys think? I'm probably just going to leave it for now and then decide on this later. Or send a picture to the customer and see what they think. Cool. All right. Power supply. You know what? That. Gonna get all this plugged. Plugging in the top addressable. So, now, fans 3D. style connection. Now, what I like to do for these types of Rgb backside, a bit of electrical tape to hold them in place. Wires, a very tight connection. Find the connection after it's all in here and done. So, a bit of electrical tape. I start. Now we just get the power supply in here and plugged in. Do a little bit of cable management. Insulting tape. Hey, you have to put tape on some of those connections because they pop off when you're doing cable management. Saves you time. Actually, a nice trick. If you've ever dealt with those RGB connections before, you'll understand. Electrical tape. Not gonna hurt anything. When you're doing wire management in the back and pulling on wires and zip tying, everything in place. noise. Now, the reason why I'm not going to go ham cable management is because, one, it's insane. Two, I do the maintenance on these things. Also, no reason to go ham. The backside. Front side is everything. Back side, as long as it's not a tangled mess, it's going to be okay. 3, you have this really nice panel that hides it all. Then you don't have to zip tie going into getting anything. And it's not ugly. Fine. On traditional ATX cases, some serious cable management backside. This one has so many wires that if I ever have to go back in, it's going to take me a half hour to take stuff apart. I'm going to leave it. Maybe I'll go back. But I'm going to leave it as is. Relatively. It is. That's. So there we have it. Could maybe put a zip tie here and clean that a little bit. Other than that. There we go. It's flipping over. Clean up the rest of this. clean by plugging around the other side now. Up to keep it tight. Times out of back side, especially if it's not very good. So if they design a better RGB connection that doesn't come undone with the slightest bump, tell me about it, please. Also, everybody, one company doing one thing and the other doing the other. Corsair. So yeah, here we are. Nice and clean. If this one fires up, right? We're all fired up. Got a post. Next thing I'm going to do is get the Windows drive in there, Windows install going. That's something we need to make progress on. Oh la la. It's actually pretty loud right now. See if I can get the mic a little closer. But that's because we just finished building it, and we also haven't done anything with the fan curve. So it's still a little bit noisy. But here, let me see if I can get this mic a little closer if you can hear it. Hold on. I don't know how well this is going to work. Probably going to destroy something. I mean, it's pretty quiet. I don't know if you can hear it. I got the mic a little bit closer here. I mean, it's done. It's built. It fires up. It's posted. I'm actually in the Windows installation right now. But this is actually a custom build, specifically looking for all white or as white as possible with a pretty limited budget. Yeah, they look great. You know, the lights are pretty synced, but don't even have the RGB software installed yet, so nothing's really even synchronized or running. Literally, like, nothing's done yet with the software or RGB. They're all kind of just doing their own thing right now. So we'll get that synchronized here after the Windows install and the BIOS updates and all that. So that's the finished product before all the software, all that stuff is done. And then once we get the fan curve done, it's going to reduce the noise level as well. Right now it's just running on all the default settings from the BIOS. So we can make this thing really quiet. Thanks, man. Yeah, this is first one of the day. I do have a few more to do. I'm probably not going to do them today, but this is a custom build that was kind of on hold because they sent us the wrong case. We're supposed to have a white Ganley 011 dynamic. Got us black. I sent it back, get the other one, etc. So it's been a fun process for this particular build. We also have this little guy going. So he'll be in there, sitting right about here, inside the case. Requested by the customer for the build. Yeah. Probably gonna put it on later. But yeah. I've got some Velcro strip that I'm actually gonna use. They don't want them to have to go in there and set it in there after they get it home and plug it in. I want it in there to stay. And then Velcro so they can flip it or change it out. So anyway, that's it for this build. I'm done. I'm going to leave it running here for anybody else who's been popping in and out to check out. If you have any questions, I'll come back and read them. But for the most part, we're done with the stream, the build stream here, the live build stream. And we will, we will have more streams coming up here shortly in the next couple of days. Thank you for the follow, beer 9,000. If that is an actual beer flavor, please send it to me. I'll be happy to do some beer testing. Tasting. Tasting. Especially if it's an IPA. Yo, boss. Hi, Carl. What's up? What do you think, CJ? Time for one now. Yes, this would be a good time for one because I don't have to build.
He's going in here.
But what do you guys think? Should I've got this white wrap. It's a carbon fiber wrap. Here, let me turn this light on so you can see it. Maybe. But it's a white carbon fiber wrap. Should I take this white carbon fiber wrap and wrap the back plate of the graphics card? Just got back from Auburn Hills. Oh, nice. Just down the street from us. Well, what do you guys think? Should I take the white carbon fiber and wrap the back plate? Because we're trying to go as white as possible. Yes, I agree. Wrap. Won't it peel after a while? That's what I'm worried about. So the other option is to paint it. but then you got the smell. Wrap. I was worried about the peel or the wrapping peeling after a while because it is heat, and that's how you add and remove the wrap. So I don't know, I'm kind of stuck with just leaving it. I mean, it does have a little bit of a white accent on the stripes, but you know, it would. But the problem is from the card will make the wrap release. Yeah, and then you'll have a weird looking wrap.
And it would go in the fans.
Yeah, that's true. The centers of the fans are black as well. It kind of pops. I probably should have done black and white cables, the extensions, but I mean, it's got black cable combs, so
Calling them.
combs.
Calling them.
Black highlights, yeah. That's what I agree with that. I think it looks good. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna leave it. Oh. But
He's gonna be sitting on fan right here.
yeah, you're in a slippery slope trying to get it all white, yeah. I tried with all the parts and the budget that we had. It was a tight budget for this size of build, and they specifically wanted this case in white and as much as everything as possible white. So I did my best with the budget. All white fans, trust me, those are hard to find. PWM, addressable RGB, white fans are hard to find on a budget. Unless you do like Asia Horse. But these Vitro fans I've used before, and I trust the brand, so that's why I went with these. They're good. I've had them in machines for over a year, and they're still running beautifully. So, but yeah, this is the best I could go with the budget. Clean cable management, though. I like it. It really turned out nice. So, on to the next one. We'll actually have a open loop project coming up here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That'll be interesting because I've never done a live stream open loop, because those are usually very time consuming, and I could spend like 8-12 hours doing an open loop. So it's very time consuming. I don't know if I'll do that. Maybe a 24-hour open loop stream. I don't think I can handle that. But yeah, this is good. I like it. Thank you for the opinions and the feedback. Helps me know that I'm okay with it. Helps me make up my mind. Right on. Client getting good deal, considering all floppy chain probs now. Yeah. Sucker. Bought a new wire LMAO. Nope. No more problems. Oh, that's awesome. That's with the controller, right? No problem, man. Yeah, I'm glad you got it figured out. Yeah, no, I that kind of threw me off when we first started looking at the problem too. With the wire that was working with the Xbox but didn't work with the PC, and then switching out to another wire, the Xbox controller worked on the PC. So that's why I was like, let's just try it, because it's like stupid simple. It's plug and play. There's really not much to it. So it has to be the connection between the controller and the computer. And I really was doubtful that it was every single USB port on the computer. Because, I mean, your mouse and keyboard worked and other things were working still. So, no worries, man. Glad we got it figured out. Yeah, this one I was actually just wrapping up. This one was a limited budget white theme build. So, what's the graphics card? This is a GTX 1660 Super by MSI. It's the MSI Ventus. Right? Yeah, it's not like I said again. They specifically wanted this case. They wanted as much white as possible, and aesthetics were more important than performance, even though I kept trying to drive them towards performance. But this is the look that they wanted, and they gave me a budget that I had to work with, so this is what we got. And they're planning to upgrade in the future as well. Yeah, it's a solid card, definitely. But, I mean, for this type of build, I would have had a much bigger budget. I would have definitely put more performance on the card and the CPU, but we were limited, so but I mean the build itself is still a great build, and it's still going to perform and literally play anything you want in 1080p, no problem. No, he does not need 6 fans, but he wanted it filled out RGB white in this case, so that's what he got. And I did pretty good, I think, with the budget, of course. It's pretty, but overkill, yeah, definitely, yeah. For the performance you're getting out of it, we could have definitely taken some of the performance or budget from the aesthetics and put it more towards the performance. Had probably a little bit faster build. With a little bit more performance, but overall it's very well balanced. Also, with all these fans and the water cooler, it's going to make it easy for upgrades, and that's what he wanted too. So we have the core of the system, and now we have easy upgrades. All he has to do is pull the cooler off the CPU, pop the upgraded CPU in, plug the cooler back in, good to go. Now this cooler's ready for all the way up to Ryzen 9. So, I mean, he's good to go. Same thing with the graphics card. We have a 750 watt power supply in the back. So it's just as simple as pulling the graphics card out, put it in your new one, good to go. You got 2 more RAM slots. You add more RAM. You got another M.2 slot for more solid state drive storage. So, I mean, you got plenty of upgrade room here to grow into it. That was the whole idea, is to build a solid core machine that has the look he wants, and then also has the upgradability further down the road. I started this thing around 2, so it's been about 2.5 hours with a couple of breaks in between. So about 2.5 hours for this one. I probably could have done it a lot quicker, but when you're streaming and answering questions throughout the stream, kind of stops you. I can shut this light off, actually. Earthquake! Oh, last thing I want to put in there. Anyway, that's the build. I'm pretty much done for the day, so building wise stream. So I got some more builds coming up. I might be doing another one tomorrow. Depends on the schedule. I do have behind me four more lined up that need to be done. So, hey Beer, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate the follow again. And if you are making your own beer, please let me know and send me one. I'll beer taste beer test. So anyway, guys, have a good one. Take care. Thanks for stopping in. Like the stream, follow, share, all that good stuff. Let us grow. Cheers.